So this video is introduction of prompt engineering. So we already know like what is the importance of prompts. So irrespective of your profession, irrespective of your domain, so you have to uh, know how to deal with LLMs, like how to pass your query as a prompt and how to get the response from the LLM. So that is, I mean, at this moment, prompt engineering is considered as one of the important skill, and irrespective of your so whatever field you are doing wherever you are. So let's see, like there are many resources available to learn prompting techniques, and so one of the resources is one of the prominent resource I can say is this website, which is known as promptingguide.ai. In your browser you can search for prompt engineering guide, it will return to this page. So I mean, I'll try to cover, like there are many techniques are available. You don't need to learn all the techniques, but what are the useful techniques and what are the things you have to know, like whenever you're giving some kind of a prompt, whenever you're expecting some response from the LLM, what are the precautions you have to take and what are the steps you have to follow. So I want to focus on that, and I try to cover all the videos in this manner, like what are the parameters which is going to define the prompt and what are the factors which is going to influence the LLM to generate the response. So those things I want to cover, and after that I'll try to cover the techniques like you have to follow which is happening in the industry, and and how to generate the response, like ultimately how to get the response. So I mean, how can you create an optimized prompt? So those things I'll try to cover. So let's start, like so let's see, like directly jump into this website and you'll get to know, like you can study this, but I'll jump into these settings. So irrespective of, I mean, whatever LLM you're using, like OpenAI, like OpenAI LLM or Gemini or Claude, Anthropic, or anything, like whatever LLM you're using, so there are some kind of a common parameters which are going to influence the so which are going to influence the response of that LLM. So one parameter you already know is like temperature. This is a common parameter. So I can show you, like this is the OpenAI website. You can see this. Whenever you're dealing with OpenAI through script or through so through web also, so there is some factors, like one factor is temperature. In OpenAI it lies between 0 and 1, so it will indicate like 0 means so deterministic and 1 means creative. So if you give the 1, you are allowing the LLM to give a creative response. If you give the temperature as 0, so it means like you are restricting the LLM, don't go for any creativity, so give me the deterministic answer in that way. So there, I mean, these are the few parameters, like which will influence the LLM to generate the response. You can see this is the Google Gemini, so models, like so even whatever model you took, so these are, there are some common parameters. One such parameter is, like one important parameter is known as temperature. So in short, like if you want the response to be more creative, then you have to make the temperature as high. So in case we want a deterministic answer, deterministic response, then you make the temperature as low. So this temperature will vary from 0 to 1 in OpenAI models, like GPT 3.5 Turbo or GPT 4 also, or anything. In this in this Gemini Google Studio, the temperature values lies between 0 to 2, but irrespective of the range, you can consider if the temperature is high it means creative, if the temperature is low means deterministic. In that way you can understand this. Another parameter is known as top P. So P means probability. So basically LLMs are nothing but sentence fillers, like I can say next word fillers, next tokens generators. So ultimately whatever query you will give, so it will check for this particular query what are the next sequence I have to give, so what are the next words I have to search and I have to give. So that is the work in general LLMs will do, in general I'm saying. I'm saying only particular for the language model based LLMs. There are many other models will be there. Those are specifically for image generation task, and those criteria is different. But if you're dealing with language based LLMs, then ultimately they'll search for the next sequences. It's like word fillers, sequence fillers, or sentence fillers. So something like that. So in that one parameter is known as top p. So p means probability. So it indicates like so when the value is very high, so it will search for more number of possible words. So if you give the top p as less, it will search for only let's take one example, like you given how or then dash. So obviously it will search for what is the combination which will happen after how and are. After that, obviously it will search for you. And if you go the top p, it will search for more words, how are you and what you are doing. So these kind of things it will add, it will return to you. So ultimately, one thing you have to remember, like you can either give temperature or top p, but it's not recommended to give both. So by default, you can focus on temperature. You don't need to worry about the top P. That's the overall concept. You can see this case. So they given some top P as one, but you don't need to give top P. So you can stick to one factor. You don't need to worry about other factor. You can see this example also. There is a top P will be available in terms of yeah, you can see this. So these are the factors which will influence, the prompting uh, response. So yeah, next one is like maximum length. You need to know like how many. It's ultimately it's tokens like. And also you have to restrict. You have to know this parameter maximum length, because so the pricing will be depends on number of tokens. So ultimately whatever query you give, whatever prompt you give, so it's nothing but LLMs will charge based on the tokens you are passing. So for OpenAI, it's, I think it's based on the model, it will be like $0.001 per token or something. The input, so number of inputs you are passing, number of input tokens you are passing, it might be vary, but in by default it will be like 4 characters, something like that. It will vary from you can modify, but by default it is like 4 characters, like so you so this one help you can consider this as one token. So something like that. So ultimately, so you in this example you can see, so they're giving one query. This is nothing but a prompt, and they're telling the model like you have to return the response within this limit. So you can't go beyond that. And you can remember one thing, all the tokens, all the ranges will be in the powers of 2. So this is nothing but 2048. So 2 power 2 power 11. So 2 power 10 is like 1024, right? So something like that. So this all will be in the sequence of that powers of 2. So that is maximum tokens. So and your pricing and everything will be depends on the tokens. Okay, so and also one more thing is like the number of input tokens are different, and output token cost is different. So the number of tokens you are passing as a prompt, that follow one particular costing structure, and the response you are getting through the prompt, I mean through the outcome, the number of tokens in the outcome, so that follows a different costing structure. So that you have to remember. And you can maintain, and another parameter is like this. And out of all these different parameters, temperature is the important one, and after that maximum length is the important one. So these two are the major, so in generic scenario I'm saying, so most of the cases these two factors uses a lot. So next one is like stop sequence. It's nothing but a string. So you can specify. So it's basically saying like to control the length of that particular response. So if you won't specify these things, if you won't specify maximum length, LLM can return the content in, so 10,000 tokens or 1,000 tokens or 20 tokens or 15 tokens or anything. So in that way, sometimes you're expecting short answer. If it gives a long answer, it's a waste of resources, like it will cost you. So that's why you have to know these factors. You have to, whenever you are passing any query and expecting something, you have to pass something like maximum length, so that LLM will return the response in within that tokens length, and so that you will save a lot of money as well as a lot of resources. And stop sequence is also similar to that, so you can tell the model line, so only return 10 items. So if you make the stop sequence as 11, it won't return you 11 sequence, it will return you till 10 tokens. So something like that, 10 items, something like that. Then frequency penalty. So frequency means you already know the number of times if it is repeating. So that is nothing but a frequency. So sometimes if you give us some query as a prompt, it has to generate some response in that sequence. In that response, it will add some words like you, I, or something like Hyderabad, Hyderabad, Hyderabad. If in that particular sentence it was adding these kind of things, you can restrict that. That is nothing but a frequency penalty. So I don't want the word has to be repeated multiple times. You can restrict the models by saying like, this is the frequency penalty you have to use. Like, so I only need one particular word. I mean, um, I don't want multiple words. So multiple words, say multiple same words, multiple similar words. You can restrict something like that. And also presence penalty. So it is also similar to frequency penalty. So it's like you are setting something, so you don't need to worry about this presence penalty, so we won't use much. But these are the factors, like we can see this: a token that I wear twice and a token that I wear penalty same. Repeated token. Okay. So this means like you are saying you're restricting the model, like so I don't want the token, the word has to be repeated multiple times. In case if you're doing that, you are restricting the model by saying like so don't give me the same word multiple times. So in this way, these parameters will be useful. But in generic scenario, in general things like temperature and maximum length, these two are the major. And rest of the factors and parameters we use very often, like we won't use that in a regular way. Yeah, so ultimately, so let's see, like so this majorly, this presence penalty, so will help the model to not repeat the same phrases in that sequence. So in that way, it will give the response in a unique way. Not unique way, it won't repeat the same words again and again. It will in that particular paragraph, if it was written in 9 sentences or something, in those sentences all the words will be in a different, uh, will be unique kind of, something like that. So that is the uh, factors of this parameter. These are the parameters which is going to influence your response. So see, so these are the, if you go to this OpenAI website and you can select the model, this is the temperature, this is the maximum length. You can play with these things. You can play with these things. Ultimately, so these are the common parameters which was applicable to all the LLMs. Like the some factors might be different, like some range will be different. Mostly it will be common. OpenAI is the standard. It is the one who set the standard. So all the LLMs will follow the same standards, like the temperature and top V. So the range, like so in this case, like 0 to 1, maybe like 0 to 2, so something like that. But mostly, whatever OpenAI is following, all the LLMs will follow the same thing. So we'll see like what are the basics of prompting and what are the types of prompting, examples, etc., in the next tutorials. Ultimately, so in this video, I want to cover you what are the factors which are going to influence the LLM, and what are the parameters which because of that you will get the response. So these are the major factors, major parameters. Out of all these things, temperature and maximum length, these two are very crucial. Rest, you don't need to use that in, so very rarely use other parameters. Yeah, we'll see the tutorial. I mean, we'll see the next things in the next tutorials.